Hello, everyone. It's time to eat, drink, and be merry with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Eat, Drink, and Be Merry show. It is the first Wednesday of the month. It is the first Wednesday of November, which means we're getting towards Thanksgiving. But every time it's the first Wednesday, it means we get to have wine time with Peggy. We love our wine times with Peggy. Peggy is and her husband own and run LDV Winery. I was going to say Vineyard. LDV Winery out in Arizona. The winery itself is out in the Chiricahua foothills in southeast Arizona. Beautiful area. And then their tasting room is in Scottsdale. So when you're out having a nice art vacation in Scottsdale or golfing or just enjoying that beautiful weather, especially this time of year, be sure to stop by and say hi and do some tasting. So go to ldvwinery.com. So welcome back, Peggy. How are you?
I'm terrific. Harvest is over, so I get to breathe again.
Yay! So you got to go do tasting in the tasting room.
Exactly. Oh my.
Oh, the fun part.
Wow. So
Yeah.
I mean, because you guys had quite a crazy harvest time with the weather, and so did everything survive the way you needed it to?
Absolutely. It was a
Yay.
crazy year, as you know, we had rain, a lot of rain. We had it, which prolonged the harvest. So we didn't get to bring the grapes in as on time like we usually do, or as early as we usually do. But and then Kurt, also the winemaker and the vintner, and he fell. So I had to step in and after fermentation, all the wine was in the winery. Figure out, okay, how do we get this all pressed when we don't have Kurt around to help us? And we were able to get it all pressed, and so it's tucked away, not in barrels yet, but it is tucked away nice and safe in the winery, and ready to then we'll transfer those to barrels here soon, and then it goes on its long sleep to perfect wine.
It means you have a good team.
Yes,
behind you.
We have a great team.
That's awesome.
We're very thankful. Not only do we have a great harvesting team, we also have a great winery team led by Teresa, who just really stepped up and really was able to bring in finish the process for us. So we're on our way.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
And I think,
Very cool.
it's just hard work what you guys do. And as we started in the very first conversation with you, it's like, running a farm, making wine from the farm, and then packaging it, and then you do events, it's never easy. I mean, Nancy and I've been on a hobby farm for 2 months, and it's not been easy. I'm telling you, I have, by respect for anybody growing or raising anything, I bow down.
Yes.
And
It is
it's
a lot of
especially
work.
you make some of the best wine on the planet. So seriously, yeah, it's important work that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. It is, everyone sees the sexy part of the process when they're sitting in a tasting room or sitting at the vineyard, drinking a glass of wine, looking out over the vines. They don't realize how much work really goes into it, but it is a lot. So right now, what we're doing at the vineyard is all that. We finished our post-harvest organic fertilizer that we put into the soils, because now the plants go into dormancy, and so the vineyard, the leaves have changed colors and actually are drying out and falling off, and so it doesn't look as pretty as it did a month and a half ago. But we also start our winter watering, so we do deep watering for the roots as they go dormant, and so it's not a lot of work in the vineyard until maybe January or February. We'll prune the vineyard, so we'll cut back all the vines, and then getting ready for pre-bud, which is early March. So we'll add some fertilizer late in that time. So not a lot of work in the vineyard right now because it's going dormant. And so all the work shifts to the winery. And
What happens if it snows? Because I know right now where we are, we've
Ugh.
had some frost. I mean, it's already snowed in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Colorado. I mean, some places have already gotten some powder, and I know it snowed in Tucson. We've talked about that before. So what happens if it snows on the vineyard?
not a problem at this time of the year. So we typically don't get any snow in November. It's rare. The mountain, of course, the mountain behind you in those pictures, the Chiricahua Mountains will get snow on them, but typically not in the vineyard. But we'll get snow in the vineyard probably in December. January is when we might get some snow.
Oh, nice.
And it usually lasts a couple days. I know one time we got snowed in and we were
Wow.
intending to leave the vineyard, so we had to stay another 2 days. Really rough, rough life, but we stayed a couple more days because
With all this wine surrounding you.
Yes,
exactly.
Still rough.
exactly. It's like, oh,
And you
what
guys
shall we
don't even
do?
put it in the bottle. You've got the barrels, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
like,
like,
all
you
right.
just go barreling.
yeah. So, but it typically will snow, in January, late December, and it doesn't stay on the ground very long. Doesn't hurt the vines in the dormancy to have that kind of moisture, not a problem. It's only if it got below freeze or, really cold, then there
Yeah,
might be
snow
some
is warm.
problems.
The
Yeah,
snow,
yeah,
and it
does
gives you
kind of
extra
warm
water.
things up. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. So we don't mind
And
that down the year.
Chiricahua National Monument in the snow, that is
Beautiful.
magic land. I mean,
Yeah.
those hoodoos and the rock,
Amazing.
and then you have the snow on. Oh, that's
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful.
And
And
the
the other-
sun usually comes out,
Right. Oh, yeah. The sun and the blue skies. It's really winter skies are beautiful. And of course, that's perfect for looking at the stars because the sky is so crisp and with zero, humidity and stuff. So great star watching. But also, what comes in around Thanksgiving is the sandhill cranes. And
Oh, that's right.
Nice.
that is awesome to come to southeastern Arizona to see the sandhill cranes, and there, I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of them hang out in the cornfields this time of year.
And they also have that
Cool.
huge pond. In fact, a friend of ours just went camping out there, and I said, I think that's where the cranes come. He's
Yeah.
like, there was all these birders out there, and I said, yeah, I think there's the Wings Over Wilcox festival that happens every year.
Correct. Yes,
And
correct.
magic
Yeah.
land. I love that.
Nice.
So, we're getting close to Thanksgiving. I know people are already, I think there's going to be a lot of reuniting of, Thanksgiving time this year, not less Zoom Thanksgiving. So getting your wine together is important, and you've got some great tips, and we'll talk about that, and party planning, because this is good.
Yeah.
We're getting, I think this year it's going to go crazy, it's just, why not? You can get back together with your friends. Hopefully everyone, stays safe during this, whatever's going on in the world with pandemics and whatever, but we can get together. And so we're going to talk about party planning. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving, but you have your term of the week, which is acidity. And we're not talking about, someone being mean and acid. We're talking
Right.
or taking that kind of acid.
I was going to
either.
say, did somebody say
Magic
acid?
mushroom.
Right.
No, magic wine.
All of a sudden, I'm like, hey, acid.
Hey, wait a minute.
Yes, acidity is an important part of a really good wine. And I think that the key to it is balance. Like everything, you want a balanced acidity, but it's really what the wine's freshness and tart and sour attributes of wine are attributed to the acidity. It kind of, sometimes it'll make you pucker a little bit, or that tartness that you might get in wine, but it is critical that it's also refreshing. When you have good balanced acidity, it makes your mouth salivate and want more even of it. If you think about a glass of lemonade, the lemonade is very acidic from the lemons, and then you add sugar to kind of soften or balance out that acidity.
Right.
But what's so great about lemonade is it's so refreshing because of that acidity, and it pairs beautifully with food because of that balance of acidity and sweetness. So when you describe a wine as very crisp or bright or fresh, you're really describing the acidity in that wine, which in the way we do winemaking is in farming, is we farm our grapes to have good acidity actually in the grapes. So that when we're in the winemaking process, because we're using such quality grapes, we don't have to add additional acids to the wine to get that acidity. So you do somewhat, and all wine grapes have naturally acidity to them. A lot of people think that only white wine has acidity, but no, you can have red wine also has acidity. So a Cabernet Sauvignon, for example, it has, if it's a really balanced, nice acidic Cabernet, it the acidity, what's important to it is will balance those tannins and soften those tannins in that Cabernet grape, and will really enhance all the flavors of that Cabernet, which is so important. So
that's interesting, because
It's-
even when you think about like there's white wines you had with that little, like you were talking about that tartness, like an apple, like you'll have
Yes.
that apple pucker, but then
Yeah.
there's this calming, just depends on the wine and who made it, but there's some like that have this mineral balance in this minerality, so it's not like the tartness is overpowering where you're walking around like you ate really sour candy.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's-
Or getting heartburn from
It's
too
It's
much
a
we don't
little
want that.
it's just a little tingling.
Correct. So
It's
you
just
want
that
that
little
balance.
Ting. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you didn't have acidity in your wine, it would be flat or dull.
Oh, we don't want that.
And we don't want
No.
that. No, you want to
No.
enhance the fruit flavors of the wine. So here's some tips. So
Okay.
you don't want the acidity to be higher than the food that you pair it with. Okay.
Ah.
And so things like a fried food or a fatty food, you want a wine that is higher in acid to be able to cut through that fattiness, and to make sure that it becomes a palate cleanser, allowing really the fruits to shine
So
through.
you wouldn't do like a really kind of vinaigrette kind of salad with, a high acid, with the
Viognier.
wine. Yeah, you don't want to do that, but like you could do, is it today that we're recording, or is it yesterday that was chicken and waffles day? And I'm like, dude, that sounds, now we're talking, then we want an acidic wine to go with the fried chicken, right?
Right. So like a
Ooh.
lemon or a citrus flavored dish that has strong acidity will make your wine taste a little sweeter. So I would pair a white wine or a sparkling wine would be a good choice, like with lemon chicken or something like that.
I'm getting
But
hungry.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
know.
know.
I know.
This is a
But
every time you come on this show, I'm like,
It's like, is it
like,
time to drink and eat?
yeah,
I know.
but like everything, you want balance, balance in the wine. You shouldn't be shocked by the acidity in the wine.
Okay. So when we talk about Thanksgiving and we're looking at turkey, okay, so we could have a little acidity to go with the turkey, can't we?
You could, yeah. Like everything, balance. But first off, choose an American wine. It's an American holiday. Choose an American wine, right?
Yes, I love that.
Okay.
And you've got,
Why
and everyone,
not?
Peggy's got her tips
Yeah.
are up on blendradioandtv.com. And I started giggling when I saw that. And, I'm going, okay, that would make sense. We don't need to go to France for that.
No, I mean, they push the Beaujolais a lot of times for Thanksgiving wine, and it does go well with Thanksgiving. It has usually a bit of sweetness to it, a fruit forward kind of wine. But I want to go American if we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving, and I like to go to a Grenache or a Pinot Noir. It just, there's so many flavors on a typical Thanksgiving table that you need a wine, unless you're just going to open up the the wine bar and have so many different wines for people to choose
Oh,
from.
now wait a
Wow.
minute. Now we
Yeah.
might want that.
Mm.
Now,
Yeah.
you're talking our kind of Thanksgiving,
Mm.
and every sip you take, you give thanks. This
Yeah,
is getting
exactly.
good, Peggy.
So different wine per course.
You
Yeah.
could do that. You could
Yeah.
definitely do that if you are serving a Thanksgiving dinner that is multiple course. But I come from a big Italian family, so Thanksgiving's a wild time, and everyone's grabbing everything all at once type of thing. So we have to have wine on the table that's going to navigate everything from our turkey, but Italians have lasagna a lot of times for Thanksgiving, so and it has to stand up to the lasagna on the table.
Oh,
What
well,
happens when
yeah.
you come to the pumpkin pie at the end?
See that you keep your sweetness for the sweets. Don't serve a sweet wine with Thanksgiving. So enjoy your sweets with pumpkin pie and apple pie, whatever you're going to have for dessert as your sweets. Though you might do a Riesling with your dessert would be nice.
That
not
sounds
a
good.
dry, not a sweet Riesling, but a dry Riesling. And also a Riesling, just like Gewürztraminer, the Washington and Oregon make some wonderful Rieslings and Gewürztraminers that would go beautiful with Thanksgiving dinner. We serve a lot of time bubbles at like a California Brut Rosé would be beautiful with Thanksgiving dinner. So you have some options. You can do the red wine like a Grenache or a Pinot Noir, or if you want to do something fun like bubbles and do a Brut Rosé, not a
I want them all.
I know,
We
right?
always want
Or
bubbles.
have those options on the table. You might have a Gewürztraminer, a Brut Rosé, and a Pinot Noir as choices for people during Thanksgiving dinner.
I think Pinot Noir is such a, when you get,
Yeah.
because you can, it's a finicky wine, I think, Pinot.
Yeah,
It's like you
it
can
is.
get some Pinot and you're like, what did I do that for? And then when you get a good Pinot, it's like, yippee, let's celebrate, So to me, it's finicky, but it's light enough. It kind of hits that middle of the road for everyone to be able to
Correct.
enjoy it at a table, because it's not heavy,
Correct.
I
Usually.
like big heavy wines. That's me, but there's that balance that I think allows people to sit, savor, but maybe people that are at the table that maybe aren't wine drinkers or
Right.
haven't really done a lot of tasting. It's something that could open up their palate and kind of raise that bar for them too.
That's why I also like Grenache, because it's not something that a lot of people haven't tried. And so a Grenache, if they are a novice wine drinker, it's fruit forward. It has those bright, cherry notes to it that a novice wine drinker might find really pleasing, and it would go with a great Thanksgiving dinner. So
Cool.
try a Grenache. I would not go heavy like our Petit Syrahs or Cabernet typically with Thanksgiving. If you want to go with a little bolder wine, maybe a Syrah would be okay. But there's so many savory, very lot of herbs that are used in Thanksgiving dinner and stuffings and
That's
so
true.
on. And then there's the sweetness, that sweet potatoes or balsamic carrots or Brussels sprouts are on the table. And
But people are doing those sweet potato things with the cheese, not cheese, like the marshmallow.
marshmallows.
Yeah, that's
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Who started that?
I don't
I'm-
know.
I don't know.
I no.
I grew up
This
with
is my own
that.
personal opinion. Like I remember the first Thanksgiving in this country, and I thought it was a cheese dish, like a cheese, and
No.
so I thought it was a bunch of melted cheese, and I was
Right.
totally shocked when, and you have to smile, go,
Yum. I know. I grew up with the sweet potatoes from the can and the marshmallows and brown sugar and so sweet.
wow.
Or
Yeah.
canned cranberries. It's like, oh my. No, so I I still serve those things, but I make them
Yep.
in a whole
Fresher.
different way. I have a wonderful, I probably should send you that recipe to put up. I have a wonderful spicy cranberry salsa.
Oh, yeah,
that,
yeah.
goes
Ooh,
wonderful with
that
turkey.
sounds good.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah.
Mm.
We're in the Southwest, so everything has to have a little
Yeah, it
salsa.
needs to sing. It
to
needs
it.
to sing.
Well,
Yeah.
we've been to Thanksgiving dinners where they do that deep fryer, or they they
Right.
take them outside, and it's they the turkey itself, the skin, people do it where it's got
Mhm.
spice on the skin. I know
Right.
doctors say don't eat the skin. I'm like, why? This Thanksgiving, we're eating the skin. I want the crispies.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. I agree.
With a little spice on it, I'm
Mhm.
all for that with you. Now, Thanksgiving, it's oh, and we've got to remember that everybody has those green bean things with the
Oh yeah, with
Oh,
the
yeah.
French onion.
The
on
French
Yeah.
onions, the
so
cream
to balance
soup.
the wine. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, this is quite an interesting.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
wonder how our bodies feel about what we're doing with all these multiple flavors,
Oh boy. I
They're
mean, when
like,
you,
it's only once a year.
right.
Well, then
Right.
Christmas is kind of the same.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
is. It is. And then afterwards, you have all the leftovers,
Mhm.
turkey sandwiches the
Yeah.
next day. And again, a great
Soup.
bottle of Grenache
Mm.
with that, or
Mm.
turkey
Yeah.
soup, and all kinds of things that
Yeah,
go
it's a
great with
really
wine.
wonderful month when
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
think about it.
And then it kind of kicks off, and that's what happens around Thanksgiving. Everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, what are we going to do for the holidays? And then it starts with Christmas, and that leads to party planning, because there's cocktail
New Year's.
parties. There's,
Uh-huh.
people are doing corporate parties. Do you do
Mhm.
those, right?
Oh,
At the
yes, we
winery?
do them at the tasting room. So I already
Mm.
have a private family retreat or family get together. They're coming in from all over the country, and we're doing Thanksgiving dinner at the tasting room. They have the whole tasting room to themselves. So they're going to have a great time on
Yeah.
Thanksgiving at the tasting room. And then we're already planning corporate events into December. So Christmas
Mhm.
parties and so on. We don't typically do a lot down at the vineyard because we're so remote. There's not a
Right.
lot of lodging near us.
Mm.
So we don't do much down there in terms of big events unless we host them.
Until you
But-
open a hotel.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, or a
Cool.
bed and breakfast or something. There's some
Yeah.
great places near us,
Mhm.
but they're small, small
Yeah.
places. But yeah, it's party
Mm.
season, and I grew up with a mom that loved to throw parties, so I learned young how to host and
Mhm.
plan parties,
Mm.
and not stress over it. I think a lot of people get stressed about even
Yeah.
hosting a Thanksgiving
Mhm.
dinner or having a few couples over because they're stressed out about it. I say, don't worry about it.
Mm.
Plan ahead, and you'll be fine.
They
I
need a
remember
good
once
old
talking to,
fashioned food fight
yeah, well,
just so
yeah,
they
that's
relax.
there it is. Well, we were talking with lady, this is years ago on the show, and she's now a chef and written cookbooks and really gone on with her career. And she said before she knew how to cook, she had just gotten married. Her husband was awake, it was on his way home, and she's like, okay, I don't know how to do a turkey, so I'm going to do the chicken thing. She didn't know what she was doing. By the
Mhm.
time he got there, she was so stressed out. I think his family was coming, or something. Everybody
Mm.
arrives, and she had tucked into the wine, and they found her passed out on the couch with the bottle.
I
And
love
she was
it.
so, she was just like, and she was like, so there's a balance, but and
There
we won't,
is.
yeah, I think she burned it, and like it just was, but it was all the nerves. Yet,
That's funny.
it's like, okay, so
Mhm.
maybe, you can play fake house. That's what we talk about. It's like, all right, you've got things around the
Mhm.
house, just shove them under the bed. That's why you have those
Right.
extra cupboards, just shove them in there,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Mhm.
But when you look at wine and the food and what you're going to do, obviously you're going to want to know who's coming first, right? Do you
Correct.
look at who's coming and look at the wine according to the people?
Well, that's a good question. When I'm planning an event, there's a couple things I think about planning that event. the logistics, do I want to do a cocktail kind of party where people are just standing and mingling and nibbling on foods, or is it a sit down dinner that I'm going to plan? Is it themed? No, I'm not big on themes, but a lot of people are. And so I like to do those logistical things well in advance, so I know what the parameters are of the event. So and then I set the times and send out invites or e-invites or whatever it might be well in advance, so people are got it on their calendar and they're expecting. And that helps me begin to plan the wine as well as the menu, as well as how the flow of the party is going to go. And so one of the key things I also think about is the party flow. So if it's going to be at my home, when people arrive, where do they go to get their drinks or a glass of wine? Where do they go, then move to a place in the room or in the next room to get their nibbles, appetizers, or whatever? And then where do they go to get their food? Because you want people to flow, because that gets mingling going. So people don't stand together with someone they only know. But if they have to move to somewhere else, they'll meet new people as they do it.
Good
So
point.
thinking about the party flow is very important, I think. And of course, music, right?
Oh, yeah.
You got to set the
You
tone.
know that. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta
so-
have the music.
So
You've got to.
creating that playlist that is, with the theme of the party. So if it's a laid back, couples over for dinner, maybe it's a jazz night and it's a smooth jazz playing in the background. But if it's a cocktail party and you want people mingling and maybe dancing a little bit and having a good time, it's a much more upbeat, lively kind of playlist.
Maybe you have a band.
Maybe you have a band. Yeah.
That's the best. You can't
Bands
beat
are the
that.
best.
Right.
Live music, and it's back. I'm so happy about live music being back.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. You got to have live
Exactly.
music in the world. That's, and then what about, when you've got the people coming, do you ask them about allergies or things they can or cannot do? Because we're finding, like, even just talking to chefs, and when we did the B&B thing, it's suddenly like, oh, we don't eat
Oh my
this now.
gosh.
Like 1 minute
You
we're,
don't eat
this
that.
is gluten-free, this doesn't, no carbs, none. Everybody's in a different
like-
boat when it comes to food. I would never want to be a restaurant owner these days.
Right.
'Cause
It
it's like,
is.
what do you do?
But it's a
I-
holiday.
It is. Yeah. I try to, I ask if they have any special food needs, because I don't want to be surprised where, I have all meat dishes and I have half the group are vegans, and I didn't know
Yeah.
it.
And your
Yeah.
wines are vegan. That's a good point.
Yeah,
to bring
yeah.
up.
So, but I also make sure my menu also has options. So there's vegan options and there's gluten-free options on that menu, because I don't want to be running around trying to prepare something at the last minute
Right.
for someone who has all of these food needs, because I'm Italian and I would do that because that's just who I am, and I don't want to be put in that position.
No,
the other-
because it's hard.
This is where
It's
taco
hard.
bars rock.
Yeah,
Taco bars,
exactly.
because you can have gluten-free tortillas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People can take meat, no meat. You can,
Yeah.
and if you don't want the tortilla at all, you can just have, carne asada, whatever,
right.
You see, I'm hungry for Southwest food now.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yeah,
Oh.
so I would, plan your menu, do your food prep, try to choose a menu that everything gets done ahead of time, so that it's prepped, because you want to have fun at the party too. You don't want to,
Absolutely.
right? You don't want to be in
Don't
the
be
kitchen.
passed out.
Yeah, or passed out on the couch, but you want to be able to have fun. So I actually do most of the food prep a day or 2 days ahead of time. I also set the table if I'm doing a sit down dinner, or even if I'm setting out for a cocktail party. I set everything up 2 days ahead of time. I arrange the flowers. I really, any props that I'm going to have for the party are set out at least a day, up to 2 days ahead of time, so that the day of the event, that morning, you're chilling the wine, you're setting up the bar with any garnishes that might need, you're completing the food prep.
I mean, listen
You're-
to her. She's like the party planner extraordinaire. Like seriously.
Because I want to have fun at that party,
Yeah.
so
Sounds
I
like fun.
don't-
I want to come to your party.
Yeah. Yeah, my grandmother taught me to concentrate on the hors d'oeuvres and have a whole bunch of them, and they must be artistic and colorful.
yeah.
And she said that way, when you get to the main course, people are already half full, and then you'll have dinner for 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
good advice. That's great
Okay,
advice.
except for your grandmother made the wobbly stuff.
Wow.
Yes, what is it, aspic thing
Oh,
the
like
aspic.
jellos, like
Oh,
the,
that was Aunt Mona, and that
back
was
in the
worst-
day?
That was the worst thing ever. Orange Jello with pineapple and olives in
Oh,
it. It
sure.
was- yeah,
I
oh, sure.
I grew up with
No.
stuff like that. Oh yeah.
Ah,
Oh yeah.
What would you do?
no,
Okay, this is a
No.
good point. I know I'm moving ahead to
Bad.
Christmas, but I'm thinking about when you were talking about cranberry salsa. I love
Mhm.
that. What happens when you have Christmas? Some people do lamb. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking England, but it's like the lamb and the
yeah.
mint
Mhm.
and the
Yeah,
mint.
yeah.
What would you do
Mhm.
with a wine with the mint?
Ooh,
That's
that's a good question.
that is a tricky one. I'm
Mm.
not crazy about the mint with my lamb, but I know it's
Mm.
traditional. You probably go with a more like a
Huh.
Sauvignon Blanc potentially,
Okay.
or something with some acidity. Again, would probably go with, because of the mint, not so much
The
because
mint's
of
so
the
strong.
lamb, because lamb has that gaminess typically.
Yeah.
And I know when I make lamb, it has a lot of garlic and a lot of herbs. It's really an herb crusted rack of lamb
Mm.
or a leg of lamb, and we grill them. So there's a lot of flavor to them. So we don't do the mint usually with our leg of lamb, but
Mm.
then I would go again because it's a Syrah potentially, a
Oh yeah.
Merlot,
Mm.
would be beautiful
That sounds good.
with the lamb.
That sounds good.
Because people are planning those Christmas party dinner themes,
Correct.
Mhm.
sometimes it's brunch, which is good, and that's where you
Yeah.
get the bubbles
Yeah.
but with at the winery, do you sell like if people want to come buy caseloads, like do you do just like
Oh yes, you can drive your truck, open up the back of the truck, and we will fill it up.
Okay.
Not a
well no
problem.
because that's the thing, people having parties, if you're in Arizona,
Correct.
one must have Arizona wine, like you were saying. I think
Of
that's
course.
a really cool thing. And
Mhm.
we were talking last time on the show about having like the brown paper bag kind of thing, and
Uh-huh.
to me that's also a really cool way of starting
Introducing
a
wines.
conversation
Yeah,
Mhm.
with people.
exactly.
Okay, and then so people can have their party with you, they can buy copious amounts of wine from you. So I like this.
Absolutely.
Now, do you have gift certificates for gifts? Can people
We
gift
do.
like wine? See,
Yeah.
she's set up.
There
You
You're the
bet.
ultimate of party.
can-
Like
It's a one-stop shop.
I'm
There you
Exactly.
I'm
are.
gonna change the wine time with Peggy to party time with Peggy.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I like that.
I am the queen of
Yeah.
parties. I love
Yeah.
parties. The last tip I want to leave on the party
Oh,
plan
yeah.
is no one knows what you didn't do. So when it's a lot of times I'll have such a huge menu, and then as time clicks away, okay, that's off the menu. Okay, that's off the menu. Okay, I can't get to that. No one knows. So don't fret about it. Because you
Yeah.
didn't get everything done, just don't fret about it. Yeah,
And
they
don't say
know.
it.
Don't say
Don't
it.
tell anybody.
Yeah, don't worry about it if you didn't get the fresh flowers out. They're still in the refrigerator. So what? It's
Yeah.
okay. Just have that glass of wine, pop that sparkling bottle open, and have your glass of champagne an hour before, calm your nerves, and then open the door and you're ready for your guests. Don't fret what you didn't get done.
Now, do you
Yeah,
put
take
like if
those
you're having
flowers out of the fridge at the last minute, and as everybody's saying goodbye, just toss them each a flower.
Yeah,
There you
Bye-bye.
go.
There you go.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
See, that's it.
no
Do you
biggie.
do you make sure do you put people like little place, like do you place where people are gonna sit?
I do for dinners,
Mm.
because I'm all about trying to introduce new people together, and I really spend some time thinking about, because a lot of times I know I'm the one that knows everyone, and I
Okay.
know everything about my guests. So I want to seat people next to people that they'll be able to strike
Oh,
up a
she's a
conversation.
matchmaker. She's a
Yeah.
Ooh,
matchmaker. How many
yeah.
couples have you introduced?
I
have a
have
funny
done, I
feeling.
have had my share
Ah,
Oh, I
introduction.
love this.
And the same
Yeah.
thing is when I greet people, again, because I'm the hostess. So when I greet people at the door, I instantly bring them over to another couple or another person and introduce them to someone that I know they're going to be able to strike up a conversation with. Because as the hostess of the party, you're hoping, you're curating an experience for all your guests to have a
Mhm.
great time, right? You're
Right.
not, you're not there just to pass out early and go to bed and leave your guest out. Having their own
But it is
thing for
that is like a
themselves.
It's funny though.
that is like a movie though. That
It's
is
funny.
like a movie. But and the other thing is, do you give gifts? What do you think about that? People doing like sometimes like you have it happens at weddings, there's gifts of if it's like the holidays, sometimes you just do something
Something
small
little.
kind of
Yeah.
yeah.
Tiny.
Just something I always give, obviously food, so, or candy or something like that, or cookies, and something to nibble on the way home is what I
Smart.
always, so I just,
Ah,
just
hmm.
in a little silk bag with a ribbon and send them with,
Oh,
some interesting
nice.
cookies or some, candies or nuts or something that they'll nibble on the way home as they're talking about how great a time they had at my party.
I
Yeah,
love
that's
this. I love
nice.
this. And what
Yeah.
about like bridal showers and things like that? And I mean, baby showers, it's for the rest of the people, but the mom is not, she's not allowed to have too much wine
Right.
because she's gonna be birthing.
Any.
She needs some.
Yeah.
She'll need it right
Yeah.
after. But
Mm,
but
or during.
but I mean, do you do those kind of things when you?
Uh-huh. We do,
Wow.
and I've hosted many of those, or bridal showers and that type of thing. When you're thinking about, the tough part is how much wine do you have on hand for a party, and what kind of party? That's,
Mm,
people always ask me, how do you know how much, like for a wedding or for a big event, how do you know how much wine you need to have? There's some rules of thumb. There's obviously 4 to 5 glasses in a standard bottle of wine, right? And
Mm.
so if you're having multiple, the first thing to think about is if you're having other liquor. So are you having wine plus beer and a full bar? Well, then you're gonna need to have less wine, because
Mhm.
people are also going to choose beer, going to choose other liquors. So know what all is being served. Maybe you're serving wine and maybe a specialty cocktail that someone can have, which I would recommend if you're going to do more than a wine, is don't have an open bar, have a specialty cocktail, and it limits the decision making for the guest because they have limited
And there's
choices.
safety too, because you don't want
It,
people
yeah,
driving home,
it is safer because open
Yeah.
bars lead to, whoa,
Right.
Yeah, and some people don't handle their liquor very well.
No,
no kidding.
exactly. So
So-
for a 2 hours cocktail party, so people are standing around, I consider about 2 glasses per guest per hour. It would
Wow.
be typical.
That's polite, because there
Mhm.
are people that go to a party and they just, I'm gonna suck up the entire bar.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
and have someone, I
But-
I
yeah.
ran the bar for a friend's wedding, and it was the happiest wedding ever, but apparently I didn't like really measure very well. The way for their budget.
Correct.
I was a little too
Well,
like,
and it's
hey,
dangerous. It's
yeah, and
dangerous
it
by,
is
the end
dangerous.
of an hour or two, then you have people who don't know.
You don't
what
know
you're
how people are gonna
doing
handle
anymore.
what or
Yeah.
where, so
Right.
I
Yeah.
like your
Right.
idea of having something specialty, because sometimes you can make
Mhm.
that up in advance too.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of fun, and people will try that, and definitely have a lot of water, sparkling water, as well as still water, and things you can put in your water like lemon and mint or
Nice.
whatever. And encourage, water,
Yeah.
glass of
Mm.
wine,
And
a glass of water.
have
and
something for
monitor
people
that.
to not drink
Or-
on the
or you could
alcohol
have
side.
some
Right.
Planter's punch.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
Nancy, here she goes.
Yeah, it depends on what you put in that planter's punch.
Oh,
Nancy's gonna
rum.
put rum.
Yeah.
That's Nancy's favorite liquor is rum.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
It's
Oh,
yeah.
fun, but
But
man.
I think that's a really good point about how much to buy, because that is like, what do you do? And then you don't want to be running out of it. And
No.
and then at some holidays at family gatherings, you need more than
Mhm.
what you thought, just because you need to get through it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, thank goodness we're having Thanksgiving down at the winery with my family, with 14 people staying at the winery house. And we have a winery to grab the wine because we will run out.
Sounds about right. No,
Yeah.
but and then there's,
Mm.
well, yeah, I think, it's such an interesting time, and I hope everyone this season really enjoys and makes
Mm.
it memorable in a positive, happy way, because I think we've all been through a lot over the last few years, and it's time to have some fun, kick up the
Yeah.
heels. Yeah.
You know,
But be
and it-
responsible. Be
Right, and be
responsible so
responsible.
it doesn't end badly,
Right, exactly. But you don't have to spend a lot of money either. And I think
Mhm.
that's what people
Mhm.
are nervous about. It just has to be thoughtful and special. You're not a chef, do a taco bar, and
Mhm.
that's simple, easy. It's just order in the food, or you don't have to buy the most expensive bottles of wine. The key is to have a nice wine, or keep the good stuff for you and your special guests, and serve the others a cheaper bottle of wine. But you don't have to spend a lot of money to have a nice event for your friends and family.
Mhm.
And you can also make it a themed event.
Uh-huh.
We used to have, when we lived in South
Mhm.
Africa,
Oh,
Nancy
that
threw
was.
these parties all the time, and was always dress up.
Mm.
She had
Yeah.
one that was come when dress up like you
Oh.
were, was it like 5-year-old, like a little kids party, and everybody
Oh,
came
that
dressed
was,
up as the little
had to
kids
bring
and
a toy
bring
and
their
you had to
toy, but at the
play
end of
with
the
it.
evening, everybody was fighting
Oh,
over the
God.
toys like kids. So that
It
got
was
really funny.
so
We
funny. They were
the very
on their hands and knees playing toy trucks and
I
building
mean,
bridges. I'm like, what
and
just
us as
happened?
kids, we were watching the adults going, "Look at that! That's
I know, it
hysterical,"
was really hysterical.
But and then our last, we used to do New Year's really, really big, and our last New Year's party that we had in South Africa was "Come as you are, come as you were in your previous life," and that
Oh,
we had
hysterical.
people, like one couple, one came as God and the other came as Satan, and I'm like, okay, this is great.
Alrighty
Like,
then.
well, I think you take the cake on that one,
Oh my
so
gosh.
and we've had people come in togas. We've had toga parties. Yeah,
Mhm.
but those kind of
They're
things
fun.
actually make it fun and a little bit hokey, where you don't have to be so fancy, and you go,
Right.
okay, you can make a drink that goes with it. So
Well,
it's, and
everybody
I think
already
it's
had a
fun.
thing to talk about. Coming as
Yes.
in a costume,
Yes.
everybody already had something to talk about, no matter if
Shipwreck
they knew
parties,
each
we used to
other
do
or not.
shipwreck parties, and then we
Shipwreck was good.
and then the kids, well, because the parties in South Africa a lot of times
Or
were
family.
very big families, so all
Right.
ages would be
Ah.
involved. So kids would get into, we would make all the decorations, and we loved it. I mean, we
Mm.
we'd go to town, so it was this big event, and yet it really didn't cost everybody so much to
Mm-mm.
do, except
No.
for really everybody was working on having a really excellent time and creating
Yeah.
amazing memories. So
Yeah.
I miss those parties. We
Yeah.
need to go
they're
get a
fun.
house.
We
Yeah.
need to have a shipwreck party. We
We
haven't had one
do.
of those for ages.
No, we
Yeah.
haven't. We loved it.
Oh.
Everybody came
Yeah.
in sandals or one sandal and torn off jeans, and and one
Life
person brought a
jackets.
broken boat thing, and I mean, it's
Fun.
fun.
It
It's
is fun.
super fun.
That's the key to a party, is to have a good time, meet new people.
Yeah.
Mm,
They don't have to be long either. You don't have to go for
Mm-mm.
5 hours. You can
No.
put a time frame on your party. There's nothing wrong with that. And
Yeah.
you don't have to spend a lot of money. I don't do potlucks. I don't typically
Mm,
ask people to bring things, though.
You never know what you're gonna get.
You never know what you're
That's
gonna
for
get.
sure.
And if I'm having a party for 50, let's say, and people aren't going to cook for 50, and so they bring a dish that will serve 6 people, and
Mm, yeah.
so
Yeah.
no one really gets to taste it. So unless it's a family thing, I leave potlucks for family outings.
If it's
but-
an Italian family, that's yeah, good.
exactly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we typically, when we do family events, like at the Thanksgiving at the winery, everyone has a job and we have a big kitchen. And so it's
Mm.
like the big chill,
that's
as we
fun.
talked about at a
Yes.
previous.
Mm,
So everyone's cooking, everyone's cutting
That's
and
cool.
chopping.
And you have to play that soundtrack. I'm telling you,
Yes,
you got to play
exactly.
the Big Chill
Mhm.
soundtrack. It's my favorite. I just
Yeah.
played it the other day after our show with you. I had to
I
go and
love
do
it.
that.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
Yep.
Yeah. it's
Well,
fun.
I had to educate neighbors on good music.
So-
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes you have to do things.
Yeah,
Play it
yeah.
for the animals. I love this. So are we going to talk about Christmas next time? I want to talk more
Sure.
about this party planning. I think
Mm,
this is
Sure.
fascinating, especially when you're looking at wines and getting people, because it's fascinating. We've got
Yeah.
so much that we can,
mhm.
so much wine out there to be enjoyed. I mean,
Right. And shared with friends. And
Yes.
shared with family
Mm.
members, and
something new that you've not had, something different than the typical grocery store
Ooh.
wine. Not knocking it, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
yes. Yeah.
I'm thinking international parties, so everybody brings like a dish and a wine from their native land.
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
that be fun?
That would be
So
a
you
fun
could
one.
you could have all kinds of different dishes and wines that are paired specifically from country to country, and you could go around the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Ooh,
I would, yeah, that
Ooh.
could, man, your
ooh,
your
mm.
system's gonna have quite a jolt.
Yeah.
You might have to
Yeah.
make it a series, Nancy. Like we're going
Yeah.
to the Northern Hemisphere first. But I want
Yeah.
to watch, someone's gonna bring you lutefisk, so enjoy
Oh,
that.
Nothing
Uh-huh.
like a good lutefisk.
Yes, a
Yeah.
lutefisk for you. Well, everyone, you've got to keep up with Peggy at ldvwinery.com. She's here every first Wednesday, so keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. You can also see her on the front cover of our latest Success Express
Yes.
magazine, because hey, don't mess with her. And that is that perfect photo of you. We love that. We're like, look at her. You know she's got the giggles under there. She's got,
Yeah, she's happy.
she's got the success, but
She's
there's
happy.
that twinkle of like, yep. She knows how to
Let's be
throw a party, and
naughty.
now we're getting the scoop from you. Like, we're not gonna stop talking about parties. So, but we are
Awesome.
gonna close with some music. This is "Kick Up Your Heels," and this is a title track from
Mm.
one of the albums by Shelley King over in Austin, Texas. I think the very first time you were on the show, we played some of her
Yeah.
music, and she rocks. And it is. I mean, it's time to kick up your heels. I mean,
Yeah, it
really,
is.
the holiday
is.
season is here, and I think we should all kick up our heels and not stop until next holiday season and just keep going.
Sounds
Yeah.
like a plan.
All right.
Yeah.
Everyone keep up with
Cool.
Shelley at shelleyking.com. Thank you so much, Peggy.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Peggy.
You bet.
Come on, kick up your heels with me. You never wanna dance with me. You'd rather lay around under an old shade tree, begging, please. up your heels.